As dusk fell on March 19, 1865, a young man rode onto an open field on Reddick Morris's farm near the rude market village of Bentonville. Southeast of the prosperous capital Raleigh, due south of the county seat, and west of the railroad hub of Goldsboro, Bentonville was a pinpoint on the map of eastern North Carolina with no strategic importance at all. A dozen cabins near a creek surrounded by pine woods. The young man, Gratz Cohen, was a poet and an intellectual. A year earlier he'd been studying languages and law at the University of Virginia, the first Jewish student there. He was of slight build to begin with, but thin now to the point of emaciation, following a bout of typhoid fever he endured before leaving his hometown of Savannah on the path of war. Now, 3 months later and 300 miles from home, the skin hung between the fine bones of his face like a sagging tent. He was in constant pain from a chronic problem with his feet, and weak from hunger and exposure to more or less ceaseless rains. But that morning on the farm of John Benton, the sun had shone on a world in bloom, perfumed by peach blossoms and pine, bird song in the air. And the bit of hardtack and fat bacon in Gratz's belly was enough to keep him going without detracting from the hunger and lightheadedness, and always the pain in his feet that had put him in a state of ecstasy. "I find that I have brought much suffering on me by this mode of life," he wrote. Suffering had indeed become his mode of life, sharpening his sense that he was playing a role cast by nothing less than Providence. It was in this exalted state that he hurtled toward his end, just 3 weeks before Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. Gratz was born on a Sunday, and believed, according to German legend, that fairies watched over him. This was what the Christian Sabbath meant to this Jew. Perhaps he felt especially protected today, also a Sunday, though it would prove to be the last day of his life. The end came in the form of a bullet which tore through his skull. Fate had chosen this place, where nothing had ever happened before, to be the site where 2 great armies collided in one of the last battles of the Civil War. Gratz was a volunteer aide-de-camp, a scribe, and all-around right-hand man to Confederate General George P. Harrison, Jr., a fellow Savannian who at 23 wasn't much older than Gratz himself. On the first day of the fight, as the sun sank behind the trees, one group of Confederate soldiers after another moved across the field at the Morris farm until they were thrown into disarray or torn to pieces,